All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on AI in marketing. It's the powerhouse behind pretty much every ad you see, but, and this is a big but, it comes with some hidden risks that are just too important for us to ignore. So let's kick things off with a feeling I'm pretty sure we've all had. You know, you're chatting with a friend about needing a new coffee maker, and bam, suddenly your entire social media feed is flooded with ads for espresso machines. It feels kind of like magic, right? Or maybe something else is going on. So what is really going on? Well, it's not exactly magic. It's what you could call the AI marketing machine hard at work. These are autonomous systems that are crunching just enormous amounts of data to predict what you're going to want, sometimes even before you realize you want it yourself. I mean, think about it. These AI systems are constantly, and I mean constantly, analyzing our digital footprints. Every single click, every like, every search we make, it all gets vacuumed up and processed to create these hyper-personalized ads. And for businesses, well, that's what makes this tech so unbelievably efficient. But here's the thing. Behind all that shiny efficiency, there are some, let's call them ghosts in the machine. While AI gives us these amazing new powers, when you really pull back the curtain, you start to see some pretty serious risks that we all, businesses and consumers alike, really need to get a handle on. We can pretty much boil these risks down to three main buckets. First, how our data is being handled. Second, whether the algorithms making the decisions are actually fair. And third, what happens when we just let the machine run on its own without a human at the wheel? So let's dive into that first one, data privacy. Okay, first up, data privacy. AI systems are hungry, right? They need a ton of data to work well. But collecting all that information can super easily cross the line and violate major regulations, like the GDPR over in Europe. And we're not talking about a small slap on the wrist here. Breaking these rules can lead to massive fines and absolutely tank a company's reputation. And believe me, this isn't just some theoretical threat. Just look at the 2020 Twitter data breach. It was a huge, glaring reminder of what happens when security isn't up to snuff. The personal data of millions of users was exposed, and it just showed everyone how vulnerable these big data systems are without really rigorous protection. All right, that brings us to the second major risk, algorithmic bias. This is what happens when an AI, which was trained on data that's already flawed or prejudiced, starts making unfair decisions on its own. It's the classic garbage in, garbage out problem, and it can lead to some deeply unethical marketing that discriminates by targeting or even excluding whole groups of people. So what does that actually look like? Well, on one hand, you have fair targeting, right? That's ethically reaching people who might genuinely be interested in what you're selling. But on the other side, you have discriminatory targeting, where the algorithm might, for example, prevent certain minority groups from ever even seeing ads for things like housing or job opportunities. And if you think this is just some rare edge case, think again. A landmark MIT study from 2019 found that major facial recognition software was way less accurate for people with darker skin. This is proof positive of how biases baked into training data create real, tangible, and harmful flaws in these AI systems. And all of this leads us straight into our third big risk. With all this incredible automation, what actually happens when the AI is just left completely to its own devices? What happens when there's nobody watching? Yeah, the consequences can be an absolute disaster for a brand's image. Without a human in the loop, ads can get automatically placed right next to extremist content or hate speech or just things that are totally inappropriate. This exact problem got so bad in 2020 that huge brands like Unilever and Coca-Cola actually paused all of their advertising on some of the biggest platforms out there. And what's really alarming is just the sheer speed of all this. I mean, just think about this timeline. In 2018, GDPR comes along and sets new rules for our data. Just 1 year later, that MIT study exposes this deep-seated bias in AI. Then in 2020, we get the release of powerful new models like GPT-3, alongside massive security failures like that Twitter breach. In the span of just a couple of years, the stakes got exponentially higher. So, after all that doom and gloom, you might be wondering, should we just scrap this whole AI thing? And the answer is absolutely not. The goal isn't to abandon AI, it's to build a better one. So let's talk about what that path to responsible marketing actually looks like. It's really about a fundamental shift in thinking. It means moving away from these secret black box algorithms, from biased and limited data sets, and from that murky implied consent. Instead, the goal has to be total transparency, using diverse and representative data, and always asking for explicit and informed consent from users. This responsible framework is really built on three core pillars. First, transparency. We all have a right to know exactly how our data is being used. Second, accountability. We need systems where you can explain why an AI made a certain decision. And finally, fairness. And that means actively working to find and remove bias from the system, not just hoping it goes away. And the great news is, this isn't just wishful thinking. Some huge companies are already leading the charge. You've got Walmart, for instance, using AI for customer service while making user privacy a top priority. And IBM's Watson Advertising is built from the ground up on a foundation of ethical standards. It proves that profit and principle can absolutely go hand in hand. And you know, companies don't have to figure all this out in a vacuum. Thankfully, there are roadmaps. Frameworks like the EU's AI ethics guidelines and amazing organizations like the IEEE Global Initiative are out there helping guide businesses through these choppy waters toward building truly responsible AI. Okay, we've talked a lot about businesses and regulations and big tech, but let's bring this all back home. After everything we've covered, what does this all actually mean for you, the person on the other side of this screen? When you boil it all down, it really comes to this simple but powerful trade-off. On one hand, we get this incredible convenience and personalization, but the price we pay for that convenience is our personal data. Finding the right balance between the two, well, that's the crucial challenge for all of us. Which leaves us with one final and really big question to chew on. As these AI systems get exponentially more powerful, more complex, and more autonomous, who is really in control? Is it you? Is it the marketer? Or is it the machine itself? That's something we all need to be thinking about.
You don't need to navigate this alone. Visit Content Master to use our AI agents do it for you at a fraction of cost.